It was supposed to be lab 19 and 21. Although first, let's see, last week, lab 18 and 20, a few of you guys didn't finish. Did you guys get those done? Did you get it? Awesome. Okay, so 19 and 21. Let's go to 19. Anything in there that you guys learned that you really enjoyed? I think Tanner, there he's back. Okay. Who got 19 done? Okay. What did you guys learn in there? Anything that you hadn't learned before? Anything new? Any aha moments like, whoa, that was really cool to learn or to see? Because were you kind of dissecting a flower, figuring out all the parts of a flower, right? Okay. Were you able to see everything on your flower? Go ahead, Tanner.
Yeah, I was able to see everything, and I guess it wasn't anything new because I'd kind of done it before, just outside picking apart flowers and noticed the things. I may have not known what they were called then, but I noticed them all. So.
Okay, now you know a name for those parts and how they function and what they're for. Okay, Madeline.
I thought it was kind of cool how the same, like you could count the petals and then there was the same number as stamen as petals. At least in my flower there was. I thought that was cool.
Okay, so there's correlation in numbers on things like that. Okay, Sarah, did you find anything, any aha moments?
Can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
Okay, one thing I thought was cool was I looked at the pollen under the microscope, like it said to do, and it looked like little sesame seeds, little brown sesame seeds, and I thought it was really cool.
Cool. Okay. Are we able to relate other things to that? Good. Okay, so then 21, the leaves of the plant. Anything, what in there caught your attention that you guys liked? I know some of you guys, Tanner went and collected. Did you mail them to everybody? Right? You were going to mail them out? No? Okay. So
I found some leaves, but I had to like go on the computer and find pictures of other leaves.
Okay. What kind of pictures did you find? What leaves did you go look at? Any exotic plants?
The hardest ones for me to find, like I had no heart-shaped leaves around my house, so I had to look at those and triangle-shaped leaves. And the entire, like, smooth, that was kind of hard to find, but.
Okay.
So.
Thank you. It's interesting how many shapes of leaves. When we're a little kid, how do we draw a leaf? You know, basic down one side, and that's our leaf, right? So there's multiple shapes. So Tanner, Sarah, do you guys have any aha moments? Any specific leaf that you really liked, the shape or the color or anything about? Tanner, how many leaves were you able to collect out there?
A lot. I don't remember them. They're everywhere.
Okay. None of them specifically that were new to you? Or?
Not really. There were some really small ones and some really big ones, and all sizes and shapes.
All sizes? Okay, good. Okay. Sarah, anything with yours? No? Your mom was telling me that you want to travel. So did you look up any leaves and any interesting places you might travel one day?
Well, my dad has these houseplants that are from India, I think, and I learned a little bit about those because I've seen those plants my whole life, but I don't even know what they're called or anything. So I learned about that, and their leaves. It was fun.
Good. Hey. So let's just, the next lab's really quick, the fungus lab. Do you guys have your squash growing fungus yet? Madeline, good. Anybody else?
I don't know if it's growing fungus, but I put it in there, so it should be.
Okay. Because how long does it take to grow the fungus, did it say?
I think it said like a week.
5 to 7 days to grow a fungus. So if this lab is due next week, you needed to have started growing the fungus a couple of days ago. Okay. Did you guys get the email I sent out about that? Yes. Okay. Get your squash growing fungus so that you guys have time to do a lab. In the lab book, it tells you how to prep the squash so that it will grow fungus. So make sure you look at the lab book. Okay. All right. So last week, Sarah, we had a question at the end of class on the dicot plants and how their xylem and phloem were shaped. Because my thought process was different than what you guys all thought. So did you find an answer for us?
So was that the question where we weren't sure, like, if it's bundles in a ring or just a ring?
Right. Yeah.
No, I do not have an answer. Sorry. I think I asked my dad and he was busy, and then I forgot to ask him again or something like that, because I completely forgot for the rest of the week. So sorry about that.
That's all right. I sent an email yesterday, kind of late. You might not have gotten it, but your mom replied. So I'm going to show you guys this. This is what Shelly sent. So when it says in a ring, Tanner is right that they're lined up in a ring shape with the xylem and phloem paired up. So my understanding and the way I looked at the pictures was completely wrong. But I like the way that this diagram compared things together. So your monocots, the one cotyledon versus the two, the veins in the leaves, those that are usually like a net, the flowers, okay, the multiples of 3, and then how the vascular bundles, xylem and phloem, are arranged. So I thought that was a good way to compare them together. So, hey. So kind of a review of last week. This week, then, on to all the different reproduction and growth of plants. I was hoping that Edie would be here for this. What I want you guys to do, since she's not here, it's not going to work as well, but I want you guys to take about 10 minutes, okay? Look at your notes, figure something. What did you find fascinating, interesting, something you had learned before, but the way that it was taught this time really caught your attention, okay? Or one of these topics you really like. And I want you guys to just take 10 minutes and write about it, and we'll come back together and then we'll discuss what you guys wrote, okay? I was going to have you do this in groups of 2, but since Edie's not here, it's a little bit more difficult to do that. So go ahead, take 10 minutes, go write whatever you found interesting in this chapter, okay? Pick one of the sections, pick multiple sections, whatever you want to do. 10 minutes and just write about it, okay? And if you can do it without your notes, great. If you need your notes to look at, go ahead and do that. Just want you to review it in your head. Does that make sense? What I want you guys to do? Okay? So go ahead, take 10 minutes to do that, and then we'll come back together and kind of talk about what you guys really enjoyed this week. All right? Okay. All right, everybody. Is everybody there? Did you guys finish up? Or do you still need more time? Let me know. And Sarah's back. Are you done? Tanner, are you done? Madeline, you got it? Okay. All right. Sarah, you're in the lucky spot right now. Okay. Tell us what you learned, what you wrote about.
Okay, so there were 3 lessons that I really liked. It was 7, 8, and 9. 7 was about the tropism and how plants respond to stimuli, whatever. And I thought that was interesting. In the video, they talked about, sorry, I'm going to say something.
I was going to say, well, explain more about it. What is it?
So there's phototropism, geotropism, and thigmotropism. And it's how plants respond to the sun or touch or gravity or whatever. And so in the video, they gave an example. They said, touch me not plant. And when you touch its leaves, they'll fold up. And I thought that was interesting because my dad used to have one of those when I was little. And we'd touch it all the time until it died. And
you killed it.
Yeah, that's what my dad told us, and we all felt bad. And so if a plant grows toward something, it's called a positive tropism, and if it grows away from something, it's called a negative tropism. And so that was fun to learn about. And then the other thing was about...
Because I could see a positive, like it's growing towards the sunlight. When would it grow away from something?
Like shoots grow away from gravity in geotropism. Okay. Or, what's another example? Like in thigmotropism, we touch the leaf and it would close up. That's, I guess that counts, but it's more like folding in it on itself. I don't know. Oh yeah. And then the other one is about the short day, long day, and day neutral plants and how plants need light. And so short day plants, there's a critical length. So say it's 10 hours, like they said in the video. Short day, they would need less than 10 hours of light to flower. Long day, they would need more than 10 hours of light to flower. And then day neutral is they will flower no matter how much light they have. And then it also talked about how interrupting the light and dark times will make it flower or not flower. And I thought that was interesting.
So if you were to go to the flower shop, the nursery, that's what they call them, what kind of a plant would you want? The one that flowers only a certain time, all day, or any time. What kind of a plant would you look for?
Probably the neutral plant.
Why?
Because they're easy to take care of.
Okay. All right. Okay. Madeline, Tanner, do you guys have any questions for Sarah? Anything you want her to clarify or? Okay. Did she do a good job? Okay. Good. Good job, Sarah. Okay, Tanner, you're in the next spot. Share with us.
Okay, so I wrote about the pros and cons of plants for asexual and sexual reproduction, and what is good and bad for each one. So there were some different things that talked about in the video that I wrote down and jotted down, like how for sexual reproduction, there is more variety that's introduced into the genes, because instead of just repeating one set, it's having two and mixing them. So that way, if say there's this disease that happens that wipes out these plants, if they were asexual production plants, I don't know, if they reproduce asexually, then they might all be wiped out because they all have the same sort of genetic line. But if they reproduce sexually, then some of them might have genes that were more resistant, and so they would survive while other ones might die out, and thus the species would continue on for survival. And with asexual reproduction, there were some things that it can also be useful for, like us humans, how it talked about grafting and tubers and how we can use those to continue making more plants without having to find seeds or pollinate the flowers and get seeds. So some stuff about that.
Okay, so as a biologist, I find this plant that's just beautiful. I guess not even as a biologist. I find this plant, I love everything about it. Why would I not want to have it just asexually reproduce so that it's the same flower? Because I love the beautiful. I don't want it to change at all. Why, as a biologist, do you think I should manipulate that so that it's asexual? Or do you think I should let it go sexually? Madeline.
They talked about this in the video about how it's important for some plants to like reproduce sexually so they can have more genetic diversity. So like if a disease happens and some of the plants are susceptible, but some of the plants are immune, then they're going to survive.
But I have this plant that's perfect. I don't want it to change. Do you think as a biologist I should do that, or do you think I shouldn't? Do you think it's done? What do you think happens in biology labs? Do you think that they do that? You guys are all really quiet. What do biologists do in their labs? Do you think that they study, they see these things and go, oh, I want to see if I can make it produce this again and this again? If I was a biologist in the lab, it was a lab plant maybe, but out in nature, yeah, I think like Madeline said, we need to let them produce sexually so that those with diseases and things can kind of die off and it's not passed on and they have that survival. Okay. You guys are really quiet. All right, Madeline, what did you write about?
I wrote about how I thought it was cool when I learned about photoperiodicity. Hard word to say.
Yeah.
And I thought it was cool that plants are like more, they like, what's the word? They're more, I don't know, like they listen to the dark more than they do to light. Like they, the photoreceptors, just like say if light comes kind of thing. And so they're, to find out what is the light period, they try to, like they point out the dark period. I thought that was kind of cool. And then I was also interested that people used the different plant hormones so like much, like artificial plant hormones. I thought that was really interesting. And also it was neat to learn what the rhizoids are, because I've seen them before, but like I didn't really know what they were or like some of like their functions and stuff. So that's cool.
Okay. So here's another question on the photoperiodicity, like Sarah was kind of talking about, but a question for you. Where in the country would you see short day plants and long day plants? Well, not country, world. Where would you see those type of worlds? Think about where the sun is longer up and where the sun is not as long up. So where do you think you would see those more? Do you guys understand that question?
Near the equator, they would have long day plants, probably, and then like more north or south of the equator, the farther you get toward the poles, then they would start becoming short day plants.
Yeah, very good. Good way to think. I'm just trying to throw out questions to make you guys think of stuff so that as you've seen these videos to kind of apply it and throw out there that, hey, if I'm going to go live near the equator, maybe I got to buy long day plants when I go because my short day plants aren't going to survive down there. Or, you go on a trip down there and you see that these plants keep dying and somebody asks you, my plants keep dying. Maybe you'll, are they a short day plant? Maybe that's why they're dying because you live near the equator and you're buying the wrong kind of plant, which I doubt that they would sell those plants down there because they probably don't survive. Okay. But just to kind of think about things outside of, you're watching these videos, but think about other things. How could I use this information if I was going somewhere? Okay. Without Madeline, without Edie here, she kind of messed up my plans today. I have to tell her, Edie. Well, that's all I have then today since she didn't make it. Next week you have 2 chapters, not very long. Chapter 25 is 3 lessons, really quick. Okay. Chapter 26 is 5 lessons, not very long. What I want you to do for next week, where is my share? Here we go. Okay, so here are the chapters for next week. The fungi, okay, and then starting to get into the invertebrates, the animals, some of these invertebrates here, okay? What I want you to do is watch these videos. They won't take very long. Watch them or read it, whatever. And then I want you to pick one of them. I want you to pick either the fungi, the parazoa, the radiata, the protozoans, okay, or the deuterostomes. Okay, one of these things here. And I want you to do a little bit more research on it. I want you to see, let's think in terms of this, that why would we have these on the earth? What do they play a role for on the earth? For me, as a human being, why are these here on the earth? Does that make sense? Is that everyone kind of, yeah? Okay. So it doesn't have to be very long. I want you to write like 1 or 2 pages. I don't want to say you have to have a certain limit, okay? But I want you to do some research, and I want you to write about one of those. Learn some more from what the video shared with you. I want you to learn more about it and try and relate it to me. Why would I have to know about this? How is it going to help me? Why are they on the earth? Something. I want you to throw out a question, something like that, and I want you to answer that. Okay? Does everybody understand what I'm asking you to do? Okay? Any questions before you go? Okay?
What things did you want us to choose from? Just any of the organism categories?
Organisms in chapter 25. So 25 is fungi. And then in 26, you have the parazoa, the radiata, the protozoans, and the deuterozoans, okay? Pick one of those, do more research on it, and then write a little paper on why is it important to you in your life? Why is it here on Earth? What can it help you? Can it hurt you? Any question like that. I want you to be thinking, how does it relate to you? Okay?
Okay.
Does that help you? Okay? So just something from the lessons you're going to watch. All right? Okay? Any other questions? Okay. So make sure you get your lab going, your fungus growing. Okay? Get that going, and you have the 2 labs. Let me find. You have lab 15 and 14 next week. to accomplish as well. Okay? If you don't get both of these labs done because I'm kind of giving you now an extra assignment to go write this paper, don't worry about it. We have a couple weeks before spring break. You can catch up on a lab if you need to. Okay? So if the papers and doing the research is taking you a little bit that you can't get a lab done, that's fine. Okay? But I want you to do that. I want you to relate it to yourself. I want you to figure out how this relates to you. Okay? All right. Have a good week, everybody. Good job. We'll see you guys. All right.